Hi, everybody. It's Mandy Reinhardt, and I just wanted to go over some of the interventions with you that we didn't get to when I was there with you at Tri-Central. And I also wanted to thank you all for having me. I enjoyed meeting you all and getting to know what's going on in your school. To start with, let's talk a little bit more about the check-in and check-out. And we did discuss a little bit while I was there, but to add to what I was saying, first of all, let me say that I've added a video under the materials section and to show you what it looks like as it's being implemented. So I'm going to explain it, but there will also be a video, and at the bottom of the slide there's also another video. So you'll have a couple places to look at to see how it looks as it's being used. So the check-in, check-out process, as I mentioned while I was there, is the single most effective intervention that there is for defiant children. And what it is that the student chooses an adult from the building that they love, that they enjoy the most. And so as long as that adult agrees to it, that child can check in with that preferred person when they arrive in the morning before they even come to class, and then as many times as needed throughout the day. So it could be in the morning, the afternoon, and then before they leave, or it could be a couple times in the morning, a couple times in the afternoon or before they leave, or it could be every 30 minutes, whatever is necessary for your child to be successful and to not disrupt your class, and for him or her to not embarrass himself by having a meltdown. So the kid chooses a preferred adult, and that preferred adult allows them to come to them, and then with them they bring their behavior contract or whatever contract you developed with them, or whatever they're supposed to be doing with you that they are not doing or that they have done well. And they take it with them to the person, and that preferred person goes over what he or she did well or what he or she needs to work on. So for example, if you've got a student who's working on you can see a meltdown is coming on, excuse me, he or she can take his or her behavior contract with them and go to the preferred adult and talk about what is going on and why they feel upset. If it's academics, then that person might be able to help them with the academics. And if it's not, then maybe they can talk them through whatever it is that's going on. Excuse me. I'm sure you can already tell, this process is 3- or 4-fold. First, it allows them to leave the room, which leaving the room alleviates a lot of the environmental stress. And so that it changes the perspective as soon as they leave your classroom. So their whole demeanor can change as soon as they're out of that environment. I'm sorry, excuse me. Then also they get to work through whatever problem that they're having, maybe academic or maybe emotional, and or if they are going because you are rewarding them or because it's their time to go, then they receive they're receiving a reward by being able to leave the room and see the person that they enjoy. But the person also can provide some sort of non-tangible reward at that time too. As just a little side note, it also would behoove you, and it really makes life much simpler if you have kind of a reward menu that the kids can choose from when you are rewarding on the fly. So these are non-tangible things or activities that they can do that are short and sweet, but give them the reward that they're looking for, that they have earned or deserve. If you need more information on a reward menu, please let me know, and I'll be happy to provide that for you. So going forward, so the behavior chart will have already been established between you and the child. So I have on the side here, I have the check-in, check-out form, a couple, one for young elementary, primary, and one for intermediate. And the predetermined behavior contract may have a list of things that he or she needed to accomplish before being able to go see the preferred person. Or maybe the preferred person is supposed to be checking in with them to make sure that they are on the right track for completion of those things by the end of the day. The behavior contract is whatever you need for it to look like based upon what the needs of that child are. But as I said, this is very important, and it really will surprise you how effective it is. The next intervention I want to talk about is saving face, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You're giving the kid an avenue to take to eliminate being embarrassed or upset in front of his or her colleagues or you or whomever is in the room with them before they have a meltdown. So, for example, if you see a meltdown coming on, because you know what it looks like by now, I'm sure, you can provide the kid whatever they need without drawing any attention to them. So the whole goal here is for them to not be embarrassed. So you can do something subtly, like walking past their desk and pointing towards something that they could do to eliminate their being upset or their problem. Or if it's academic, you can walk over to, just walk over to their desk while you're already walking around the room, and just kind of point to where they should be, or to what they should be doing. That also gives you the opportunity to see what they're doing or what they're not doing, which will give you some insight on what he or she needs to be successful on that specific subject or assignment or standard. You also could have a predetermined signal or little cards that the kids can keep at their desk so that they can show you if they're starting to feel overwhelmed or upset. They can just flash the card at you from across the room, and that will give you the information that you need, and they then can go to wherever their predetermined safe place is to prevent themselves from having a meltdown or from getting upset. As a hand signal also could work, or if you blink your left eye 3 times, that tells me that you are getting overwhelmed and you're about to have an explosion. This also teaches self-regulation, and it also allows them to understand themselves a little bit better by having them pay closer attention to their own emotions. It also will give you some more insight on what their triggers are, because at that very moment they're telling you that it's about to happen, and so you can then know what the antecedent was to, or what the antecedent will be, and what the precedent, was before all of this transpired. So the saving face is exactly what it sounds like. You're giving the kid every outlet possible to not be embarrassed in front of the class and to not have a meltdown or to get upset. In the midst of them being upset, you can always remind them that what they're doing is not okay necessarily, but I don't want you to say that what you're doing is okay. Please feel free to throw a chair across the room. That's not what I mean. But just remind them that you care, and by allowing them to take the time that they need, you are showing them that you care. Act in an unexpected and positive way. So specifically with defiant kids, the more positive you can provide for them, the better off you're going to be. As many negative behaviors as they display, you want to give them that much positive, because that's what they're lacking. They're lacking that positive attention that makes them want to do better. So they know throughout, I'm sure even in kindergarten probably, that they know that they're different from other kids, and they've been singled out and they've been reprimanded their whole life because unfortunately their behaviors have led to that. So if they're having a meltdown, or if they're throwing things, or if they're acting out in a way that's not the way that you want them to, surprise them and do something different than what they've seen before. And that is maybe give them a hug or compliment them on something that they had done previously in the day. So for example, if Jaden is having a meltdown and is crumpled up all of his papers and thrown them all on the floor, and is getting ready to swipe his desk clean, You could say, oh my goodness, Jaden, I'm so proud of you for the morning work that you did this morning. You did such a good job. Or thank you, Jaden, so much for helping Susie pick up her lunch that she dropped on the floor off of her tray. That was so nice of you. Point out positives that will allow them to take their mind off of whatever negative situation is going on. And it will also surprise them that you're not reacting the way they're expecting you to. They're expecting you to react negatively and punish and yell and get upset. But if you do something different, it will change the course of their actions as well. The hot passes. Before I tell you anything more, I want to say that in my experience, it is wise to limit the amount of times the hot passes can be redeemed. So you might start off with 5 hot passes and go up or down from there depending on the child and their needs. But the hot pass is basically a pass that allows them to leave the room when they are feeling overwhelmed without disrupting you, without disrupting other kids, and without having the meltdown itself. So when they feel it coming on, they can redeem one of their hot passes, and they can go to a predetermined place in the building. I used to use the secretary a lot because she was really good at either calming them down if they were already in the midst of being upset, or giving them like a Post-it note or a stapler or something to bring back to me, so they felt like that they were helping. And so that's all that that you would require out of the person. You don't want to stop what they're doing necessarily, but them to stop what they're doing. But the hot pass allows the child to leave the classroom, go to the restroom or to the office or to the gym or wherever it is that you are allowing them to go, and talk themselves down and take the minute that they need to collect themselves in order to not to have an emotional. The hot passes are very important. However, they can be abused, as I'm sure you're saying to yourself, oh my gosh, your Jaden is totally going to take advantage of that. But the beauty here is that they're self-regulating this as well. So once they've used their 5 hot passes, there aren't any more. So they cannot leave the room again if they've used them all up. So if they're really having, if they abuse them, there's no more to follow up. So they have to learn that they only use them when they really need them. The safe place. The safe place is so important in your classroom, and it's not just important for your super defiant kids, but it's important for all the other kids too. It's a place where the kids can go when they're feeling like they just can't deal. And, I know that I myself, and I'm sure you do too, have a place in your house where you go when you just can't deal, and you can just go and calm down and read a book or, play on your phone or whatever it is that you like to do when you relax. They need the same thing. And since these kids are so overstimulated as it is, school in general overstimulates them, let alone activities or assignments that are difficult for them, or other kids who might also stimulate them. These are, all those things can set them off without hardly any effort. And so your safe place is someplace that they can go when they're feeling overwhelmed or when they're feeling upset. And in the safe place, I've got a couple pictures here on the side, and I have posted a video under the materials section for you to look at to see how to construct it and what should go into it. But there can be sensory items and reading materials, something comfortable for them to sit on, and different calming strategies for them to teach themselves. So every trip to the safe place should be a learning experience for them, and they should take something away from it. Not necessarily something physical, but as you can see in the pictures, the safe place has pictures hung up around it with ideas of ways to calm themselves down and how to choose different kinds of emotions and activities for them to do while they're in there that might calm them down as well. And just like the other intervention that we talked about, just the change of environment alone can be very helpful. But this place, no one can bother them. No one can say they can't be embarrassed. No one's telling them they can't do something. And so the only thing that they cannot do is disrespect it. And so there need to be guidelines around it about, we respect the safe place. We don't tear up the safe place. We don't abuse the safe place. Now, you're saying to yourself, this is going to be abused because it looks really fun in there and everybody's going to want to do it. You're right. It does look really fun in there and everybody is going to want to do it. So in my experience, the best way to handle that is to allow everybody to do it. Make a schedule where every kid in the class gets to take a turn in the safe place at some point during the week. Even the kids who aren't, defiant or have emotional problems. That way they don't feel like they're being punished for being good. So just make a schedule, so everybody gets this, and they don't have to stay in there for a long period of time, just to make them feel like that they are being treated fairly. Celebrate small victories. This is so important, and this is something so simple for you to do. It doesn't require any effort on your part, and all you're doing is making sure that you are paying attention to the good things that the kids are doing. So my Jaden, my Jaden that I use in every example, if Jaden has been out of his seat and talking all day long, and you've had to redirect him several times, if he's in his seat and doing what he's supposed to at any point, make sure you bring that to his attention that he is doing the right thing. Make sure that you're complimenting him and giving him all this positive attention for doing what he's supposed to do. In the same vein, you could also do the opposite by, if Jaden is not doing what he's supposed to be doing and he is out of his seat and he is shouting out and all those things that you don't want him to do, but the kid sitting next to him is not, they're doing what they're supposed to, you can compliment the kid sitting next to them and say, Susie, I'm so proud of you for staying in your seat and sitting quietly while I teach this lesson. Thank you so much. Why don't you go choose a reward from the reward menu? Or you get 5 minutes in the safe place by yourself. The child who's acting out, the Jaden of your class, will recognize that someone else is being rewarded for something that simple, which is sitting still and being quiet. And so he's going to work towards wanting to have that same reward. So make sure that you're just paying very close attention to how much time you're spending complimenting and providing that positive reinforcement, those positive rewards. So I want to touch on for just a minute your classroom, because all those interventions we just talked about must go hand in hand with excellent classroom management. And your classroom management is made up of organization, over-planning, constant observation, your seating arrangement, the resources, how often are you moving around the classroom, do the kids know what they're supposed to do all the time. These components will go very, very well, will complement the interventions previously discussed. So you know what organization is, over-planning. So what I mean by over-planning is kids should never be sitting doing nothing. That was always a big rule in my classroom. You will never sit and do nothing in this classroom, which is a double negative. That's right. So over-planning, so for example, when I was still in the classroom, I had an infant at that time, and so I had Similac cans that I'd taken the wrapper off of and decorated all cute, and I had just popsicle sticks with different activities listed on them, and when the kids were finished with an assignment, they could pick an activity and go do it. So the activities obviously were pre-planned and pre-developed, and they were changed throughout the year, and they are beneficial in the fact that they are remediation, so they're reviewing standards that you've already taught. So that means that you don't have to sit beside them to make sure that they're doing it correctly because you've already done that, but they're reminding themselves of information that they've already learned. They're able to get out of their seat and go do something which they want to do anyway and likely will do anyway, and they're never sitting idly, because we all know that idle hands is the devil's workshop. So the best behavior management strategy that you can have is to keep your kids busy. So I suggest that you set up little stations around the room that they can go to when they're finished. I had one corner where they could go and use math manipulatives, and I laminated an activity that they could do with a partner. And when they finished with their work, they could go to the back of the room and they could work with a partner on that activity. Or I also made up busy bags, and I hung them underneath my chalkboard, just on a string with a paper clip. And when they're finished, that's right, I said chalkboard because I still had a chalkboard when I was still in the classroom. But there was they could just go pick one of those busy bags up when they were finished with their work, and that was independent, so they could take that back to their seat. So just have those kinds of things around the classroom for when they're finished, they can go take it, so they can go do that. That also allows you the time to have individual conversations with kids to know where they are and what they need. So, you know, if your Jadens of your classroom are busy doing something, that allows you to work with Susie on something that you know that she needs help on. So just real quickly, some behaviors for teachers to think about with your behavior management is try to have a sense of humor. You know, it's so hard because there's so much pressure on teachers right now, and kids too. And so, you know, if you can just throw in a little joke here and there, or, you know, just lighten the mood a little bit with a funny story from something that may have happened the night before, kids appreciate that, and it also makes you human. And by all means, we talked about this, we want kids to know that we're human, because that helps us with the building relationships and building rapport. So, and also make sure that you're making time for the kids to be able to talk to you. They really want to tell you what they did the night before or what they did over the weekend. And if you just allow them that little bit of time every day, it just makes a world of difference with your classroom management. And if you want the kids to respect you, you've got to display respect yourself. And that just means, you know, saying please and thank you. If you want them to say please and thank you, you say please and thank you. So just those little things can really, really enhance your behavior management quality. So I know that there are needs that I wasn't able to cover in my general presentation. However, there were a few of you that mentioned that you have some specific problems that you need some help with, and I am happy to help you with them. So by all means, please email me or text me. Here's my information. I'm here to help. I want to help. And if you have any questions about anything that I just went over, again, please text me, email me. That's what I'm here for. I really want to help you, and I really want to help you be successful with your babies and your babies to be successful. So thank you again for allowing me to work with you, and I hope to see you again soon. Happy holidays.